Welcome to today's Triple Z. The Triple Z podcast is a daily recording that you can use to help you fall asleep each night. Just turn down the volume, lay back, and enjoy as you fall asleep. Today we are reading the terms and services of the Alaska Airlines website, as well as their privacy policy. Updated October 8th, 2015. These terms of use apply to mobile applications, websites, and alert services listed here collectively, the sites. Alaska Airlines mobile app for iOS, Android, and Windows collectively, the mobile apps. AlaskaAir.com and our mobile website. Alaska Airlines and Horizon Air Career websites. Trip and flight alerts. The sites are operated by Alaska Airlines, Incorporated. Throughout these terms of use, the terms we, us, and are referred to Alaska Airlines, Incorporated. We offer the sites, including all information, tools, and services available from the sites, to you, the user, conditioned upon your acceptance of all the terms, conditions, policies, and notices stated here. Your use of the sites constitutes your agreement to these terms of use. We reserve the right, at our sole discretion, to change, modify, add, or remove any portion of these terms of use, in whole or in part, at any time, by posting revised terms on our website. It is your responsibility to check periodically for any changes we make to the terms of use. Your continued use of the sites after any changes to the terms of use or other policies means you accept the changes. In the event we make material changes to the terms of use, notice of the changes will be posted online, and the revised terms will take effect 30 days after their publication. Comments and other submissions. We assume no responsibility for reviewing unsolicited ideas for our business like product or advertising ideas, and will not incur any liability as a result of any similarities that may appear in our future programs or initiatives. You are responsible for whatever material you submit, including but not limited to the contents of the message, its reliability, originality, and compliance with intellectual property and other laws. Unless we indicate otherwise, you grant us and our affiliates an unrestricted, non-exclusive, royalty-free, perpetual, irrevocable, and fully sublicensable right to use, reproduce, modify, adapt, publish, translate, create derivative works from, distribute, transmit, perform publicly, and display publicly in any media throughout the world any copyrightable material you submit. You further agree that we are free to use and disclose without restriction or payment any ideas, concepts, know-how that you provide to us, and that such material is non-confidential and becomes our exclusive property. You grant us and our affiliates the right to use the name you submit in connection with anything you submit, if we so choose. You represent and warrant that you own or otherwise control all the rights to the content you post, that the content is accurate, the use of the content you supply does not violate any provision herein and will not cause injury to any person or entity, and that you will indemnify us for all claims resulting from content you supply. Misuse prohibited / limits on use. As a condition of using our sites, you agree that you will not use our sites for any purpose that is unlawful or prohibited by the terms of use. You agree that you will use our site services solely to make legitimate reservations or purchases for you or for another person for whom you are authorized to act both legally and under the terms of use, and other purposes incidental to such reservations or purchases, such as managing your mileage plan account or accessing your travel-related information collectively. The permitted uses were 2 in the case of the Alaska Airlines and Horizon Air Career websites to submit applications for employment. You agree that you will not make any false reservation or any reservation in anticipation of demand. If we determine that you have confirmed multiple reservations to one or more destinations on or about the same date, then we may, without notice to you, cancel all confirmed space associated with the multiple reservations. You agree to abide by the terms and conditions of purchase that we impose, including, but not limited to, payment of all amounts when due in compliance with all rules regarding availability of fares, products, or services. You are completely responsible for all assessments, charges, duties, fees, and taxes arising out of your use of our sites. Some features that may be available on the sites require registration or the provision of information, such as My Account and/or mileage plan. By registering and in consideration of your use of the sites, you agree to provide true, accurate, current, and complete information about yourself. We own the information you provide to us, including information you provide through our My Account and/or mileage plan programs. Some features on the sites require use of a password. You are responsible for protecting your user ID and password. By giving access to your account or your user ID and password to any person or entity, you do so at your own risk. You agree that you will be responsible for any and all statements made and acts or omissions that occur through the use of your user ID or password. If you have any reason to believe or become aware of any loss, theft, or unauthorized use of your password, you will notify us immediately. In our sole discretion, we may assume that any communications we receive under your user ID or password have been made by you. Similarly, you are responsible for protecting your confirmation codes, e-ticket numbers, and other record locators from unauthorized users. You agree that you will not misuse as defined below or authorize or allow another to misuse our sites. Misuse includes, but is not limited to, using our sites to do or otherwise doing in connection with our sites any of the following: disrupt any aspect of our operations, interfere with another's access to, enjoyment of, or use of our sites or any information, content, or products available through or in connection with our sites. Perform activities to discover or identify aspects of our site's infrastructure for the purpose of gaining unauthorized access or information. Take any action that will or could impose an unreasonable or disproportionately large load on our site's infrastructure. Abuse, defame, degrade, embarrass, harass, humiliate, intimidate, stalk, or threaten any individual or group of individuals, whether or not on account of their age, ancestry, color, ethnicity, marital status, medical condition, mental or physical disability, national origin, race, sex, sexual orientation, union or non-union affiliation, or any other basis protected by federal, state, or local law. Download or upload material including but not limited to computer viruses, corrupt files, or similar software that may damage the operation of our or another's computers. Violate our or another's rights, including but not limited to intellectual property, privacy, or publicity rights. Use a false email address or other identifying information, impersonate or misrepresent any person or entity, or your affiliation with any person or entity, or misrepresent, mislead, or omit as to the origin or source of any material. Download or upload materials that do not contain the applicable proprietary language, author attributions, and copyright, patent, or trademark notices. Distribute or publish any obscene, infringing, or unlawful material. Collect, transmit, publish, or disseminate any private information of a third party, including, but not limited to, social security numbers, payment card numbers, passport or other identification information, or travel-related information such as confirmation codes or ticket numbers. Engage in any commercial purpose, including but not limited to advertising or offering to sell any goods or services, conducting contests or surveys, distributing chain letters or advertising with respect to any Ponzi scheme or pyramid scheme, and advertising or offering to sell any business opportunities, direct sales opportunities, employment, independent contractor positions, multi-level marketing opportunities, or securities. Disclose or transmit confidential information, trade secrets, or other confidential or protected proprietary data or other material of any entity or person, including but not limited to Alaska Air Group, Incorporated, and Alaska Airlines, Incorporated. Copy, create derivative works from, display, distribute, license, perform, publish, recreate, reproduce, sell, transfer, or transmit any information, products, services, or software obtained by, from, or through our sites. Monitor or copy any service, product, data, or content by using any manual process or any robot, spider, or other automatic device without first obtaining our prior written consent. Access information about any other My Account member protected by a login requirement. Post any information about another My Account member on any website without the My Account member's consent. Utilize another person's account, user ID, password, My Account information, or other login information. Make unauthorized changes to another person's account or itineraries. Engage in any act or omission that may subject us or any other person to legal liability. Engage in any other conduct that is in conflict with the terms of use. We prohibit such misuse, and access to the sites for any such misuse or other similar purpose is an unauthorized use of our sites. We reserve the right, in our sole discretion, to limit or terminate your access to or use of the sites at any time without notice. Limitation or termination of your access or use will not waive or affect any other right or relief to which we may be entitled at law or in equity. Links and other websites. The sites contain links to and display information from websites that are not maintained by us. We do not endorse or adopt and make no representation or warranty as to the safety, accuracy, or completeness of those websites, their content, or any products or services they may offer. We have not necessarily reviewed the information on those websites. We cannot guarantee that such websites do not change without our knowledge. Different terms and conditions may apply to your use of any linked or displayed websites. Inclusion of such links and displays in the sites does not imply our endorsement, approval, or agreement with the linked or displayed websites or their content. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or other liabilities incurred as a result of your use of such websites. Disclaimers and limitations of liability. As is warranty and disclaimer of all other warranties. Our sites and all materials and information on our sites are provided as is, and to the extent permitted by law, we make no warranty of any kind, either express or implied. To the extent permitted by law, we disclaim all warranties, including without limitation any warranties of condition, quality, performance, merchantability, fitness for a particular purpose, or non-infringement in relation to our sites and the information, services, and products provided through or in connection with our sites. We do not represent or warrant that our sites, or any information, services, or products provided through or in connection with our sites, are accurate, complete, reliable, error-free, or free from viruses or other harmful components. Exclusion and disclaimer of damages. To the extent permitted by law, in no event will we or our directors, employees, agents, or contractors be liable for any direct, special, indirect, or consequential damages, or any other damages of any kind, including but not limited to loss of use, loss of profits, or loss of data, whether in an action in contract, tort, including but not limited to negligence or otherwise, arising out of or relating to the use of our sites, or any information, services, or products provided through or in connection with our sites, including without limitation any damages caused by or resulting from your reliance on any information obtained through or in connection with our sites, or that result from mistakes, omissions, interruptions, deletion of files or email, errors, defects, viruses, delays in operation or transmission, or any failure of performance, whether or not resulting from acts of God, communications failure, theft, destruction, or unauthorized access to our records, programs, or services. To the extent permitted by law, in no event will our aggregate liability, whether in contract, warranty, tort, including negligence, whether active, passive, or imputed, product liability, strict liability, or other theory, arising out of or relating to your use of our sites or any information, services, or products provided through or in connection with our sites exceed any compensation you pay, if any, to us for access to or use of our sites. Liability disclaimer: operation of sites. To the extent permitted by law, we disclaim liability on behalf of ourselves and our agents and contractors, which agents and contractors are third-party beneficiaries under these terms of use, for any damages or injury caused by any failure of performance, error, omission, interruption, deletion, defect, delay in operation or transmission, computer virus, communication line failure, theft or destruction, or unauthorized access to, alteration of, or use of our sites, or any information, services, or products provided through or in connection with our sites, whether as a result of breach of contract, tortious behavior. Liability disclaimer: third-party materials. You specifically acknowledge that we are not liable for your defamatory, offensive, infringing, or illegal materials or conduct, or that of third parties, and we reserve the right to remove such materials or any other materials from our sites without liability. You further agree to indemnify us for all damages, costs, and expenses we suffer or incur as a result of your defamatory, offensive, infringing, or illegal materials or conduct. Copyrights and other IP rights in the sites. The contents of our sites, including but not limited to text, graphics, icons, video and audio, and the compilation thereof, are copyrighted materials owned or licensed by Alaska Air Group, Incorporated, Alaska Airlines, Incorporated. We grant you a limited, non-exclusive, non-transferable, non-sublicensable license to access and make personal and non-commercial use of the site solely for the permitted uses. This license is revocable at any time in our sole discretion. No other permission is granted to you or anyone acting on your behalf to print, copy, reproduce, distribute, transmit, upload, download, store, display publicly, perform publicly, alter, modify, or make derivative works of the sites or any materials on the sites, and no permission is granted to make commercial or public use of them. Trademarks: Alaska, Alaska Airlines, AlaskaAir.com, Alaska Beyond, Horizon, the Alaska Native Elder Design, and certain other trademarks, logos, and service marks displayed on the sites. The Alaska marks are the property of Alaska Airlines, Incorporated. You are not permitted to use, in whole or part, copy, or imitate the Alaska marks without our prior written consent. In addition, the look and feel of our sites, including all page headers, custom graphics, button icons, and scripts, is our service mark, trademark, and/or trade dress and may not be copied, imitated, or used, in whole or in part, without our prior written permission. All other trademarks, registered trademarks, product names, and company names or logos mentioned in our sites are the property of their respective owners, and we do not grant you any licenses with respect to such third-party marks. Reference to any products, services, processes, or other information, either by trade name, trademark, manufacturer name, or otherwise, does not constitute or imply endorsement, sponsorship, or recommendation thereof by us. Errors, changes, or termination of website or website services. The information, software, products, and services published on our sites may include inaccuracies or typographical errors. Changes are periodically made to our sites and related content. We may make improvements or changes in the products or programs described in the sites, including these terms of use and any other terms and conditions applicable to our products and services available on our sites, without liability. We are not responsible if information made available on our sites is not accurate, complete, or current. The material on the sites is provided for general information only and should not be relied upon or used as the sole basis for making decisions without consulting primary, more accurate, more complete, or timelier sources of information. Any reliance on the material on the sites is at your own risk. The sites may contain certain historical information. Historical information necessarily is not current and is provided for your reference only. We reserve the right to modify the contents of the sites at any time, but we have no obligation to update any information on the sites. You agree that it is your responsibility to monitor changes to the sites. We do not guarantee the accuracy of any information, example, account information that you may access through any third-party website, including but not limited to any mileage management service, mileage tracking service, or mileage aggregation service. Indemnity. You agree to indemnify, defend, and hold harmless Alaska Air Group, Incorporated, Alaska Airlines, Incorporated, and their affiliates and their officers, directors, employees, contractors, agents, licensors, service providers, subcontractors, and suppliers from and against any and all losses, liabilities, expenses, damages, and costs, including reasonable attorney's fees and court costs, arising or resulting from your use of the sites and any violation of these terms of use. If you cause a technical disruption of the sites or the systems transmitting the sites to you or others, you agree to be responsible for any and all losses, liabilities, expenses, damages, and costs, including reasonable attorney's fees and court costs, arising or resulting from that disruption. Alaska Air Group, Incorporated, Alaska Airlines, Incorporated, each reserve the right, at their own expense, to assume exclusive defense and control of any matter otherwise subject to indemnification by you, and, in such case, you agree to cooperate with them in the defense of such matter. Governing law and forum for disputes. Any claim arising out of or relating to our sites or these terms of use is governed by the laws of the state of Washington without regard to conflicts of laws principles. You agree to submit to the exclusive jurisdiction of the state and federal courts located in King County, Washington, for the resolution of any and all disputes arising out of or relating to our sites or these terms of use. You further agree and covenant not to bring suit in any other jurisdiction. General terms. Alaska Airlines provides services and programs in various parts of the world. Our sites may refer to certain services or programs which are not available worldwide, without specifically mentioning the countries in which the services or programs are available. Such reference does not imply that we intend to offer such service or programs in all countries or locations. You may have the ability to search for, reserve, and purchase airfare and other products and services, redeem Alaska Mileage Plan miles, and engage in other activities on our sites that are subject to additional terms. Such additional terms and conditions supplement, and do not replace, these terms of use. Such additional terms and conditions are subject to change, so be sure to check them when you engage in activities subject to such additional terms and conditions. If a court of competent jurisdiction determines that any part of these terms of use is invalid or unenforceable, then the invalid or unenforceable part will be deemed superseded by a valid, enforceable provision that most closely matches the intent of the original part, and the remainder of the terms of use shall continue in effect. These terms of use constitute the entire agreement between you and us with respect to the subject matter thereof, and supersede all prior or contemporaneous communications and proposals, whether electronic, oral, or written, between you and us with respect to our sites. Additional terms for our iOS app. You acknowledge and agree that these terms of use are concluded between you and us only, and Apple is not a party hereto, and 2 is between us and Apple. We are responsible for the iOS app and the content thereof. You must use the iOS app only on an Apple-branded product that runs an unmodified official version of iOS. Your use of the app must comply with the terms of use applicable to the Apple source from which you obtain it, including the usage rules set forth in the Apple App Store Terms of Service. You acknowledge that Apple has no obligation to furnish you with any maintenance and support services with respect to the app. You acknowledge that Apple is not responsible for addressing any claims you have or any claims of any third party relating to the app or your possession and use of the app, including, but not limited to, a product warranty or liability claims, to any claim that the app fails to conform to any applicable legal or regulatory requirement, 3 claims arising under consumer protection or similar legislation, or 4 claims that the app infringes a third party's intellectual property rights. In the event of any failure of the iOS version of the app to conform to any applicable warranty that has not been effectively disclaimed by these terms of use, you may notify Apple, and Apple will refund the purchase price for the app, if any, to you, to the maximum extent permitted by applicable law. Apple will have no other warranty obligation whatsoever with respect to the app, and, as between Apple and us, any other claims, losses, damages, costs, or expenses attributable to any failure to conform to any warranty of ours will be our responsibility, but only to the extent provided by these terms of use, which contain important disclaimers and limitations. Please read our entire terms of use, as other sections of these terms of use significantly limit our liability in this regard. Apple and Apple's subsidiaries are third-party beneficiaries of these terms of use with respect to your compliance with this section. Upon your acceptance of these terms of use, Apple will have the right and will be deemed to have accepted the right to enforce the terms of use against you as a third-party beneficiary thereof. There are no other third-party beneficiaries of the terms, except the indemnified parties listed in the indemnity section above. Who we are. This is the main privacy notice for the Alaska Air Group Airlines, Alaska Airlines, Incorporated, and Horizon Air Industries, Incorporated. Under applicable law, Alaska Airlines, Incorporated. Alaska is considered the data controller of the personal data these companies handle under this privacy notice. In other words, Alaska is responsible for deciding how these companies collect, use, and disclose this data. Alaska's contact information appears at the end of this privacy notice. What this privacy notice covers. This privacy notice applies to the personal data Alaska collects via its services, websites, and apps that refer to this privacy notice, as well as to Alaska's own privacy practices in connection with our services, including offline transactions such as when you speak with Alaska's customer support team or when providing information at the ticket counter or boarding gate. This privacy notice does not cover data collection, use, and sharing by third parties related to our services that are subject to a separate privacy notice. For example, when you arrange travel on our airlines through third parties such as travel agents, other airlines, search engines, and travel websites, those third parties' own privacy policies apply to their processing of the personal data they collect, use, and disclose, and Alaska will process the personal data that Alaska receives from them or you under this privacy notice. Alaska Mileage Plan trademark branded credit cards and related financial products are provided by Bank of America for U.S. residents and the Toronto Dominion Bank MBNA for Canadian residents. These financial institutions process personal data, including to assess your application, eligibility, and administer the card is subject to their own privacy notice and practices. When they disclose personal data to Alaska, such as to coordinate eligibility for mileage plan trademark miles based on card usage, we handle that limited data pursuant to this privacy notice. This privacy notice does not cover our human resources activities other than our online careers pages that collect data for recruiting purposes. How we collect personal data. The personal data we collect depends on how you interact with use, the websites, apps, and services you use, and the choices you make. For example, we collect personal data at the airport, such as at our ticket counters, kiosks, and boarding gate, and through other online or offline channels, such as our websites, apps, in-flight entertainment systems, and call centers. We also receive personal data collected by our affiliates, partners, loyalty program participants, service providers, travel agents, other airlines, and others who are involved in your travel experience, as well as other third parties such as companies that provide demographic information we use to supplement information to personalize your experience in our marketing and advertising. We may combine the personal data we receive from any of these sources. Categories of personal data we collect. We collect the following types of personal data. Contact information, such as name, postal address, telephone number, and email address. Travel information, such as flight, hotel, and vehicle reservation information, as well as confirmation codes and e-ticket numbers. Demographics information, such as birth date and gender. Governmental identifiers, such as driver's license and passport information, Transportation Security Administration TSA redress number, and known traveler number. Payment information, such as debit or credit card number and expiration date. Gift card and travel certificate information, such as card code and expiration date. Mileage plan trademark number and other awards or loyalty program numbers. Transactional and online activity data, including activity related to purchases or points earned as part of your mileage plan trademark account or through mileage plan trademark partners. For example, when you purchase Alaska products and services, e.g. purchase of tickets, in-flight food and beverage, cargo sales, etc. Records of your communications with us. For example, we record all calls to our call center. Social media information, including your social media handle and other information communicated to us directly through social media such as messages or posts directed at us. Survey and marketing responses, including information you provide in responses to surveys, marketing, focus groups, and research. Depending on your device and settings, we collect the location of the device on which you install our app or access our website. Content and files, such as the information you provide to us directly or provided to Alaska by a third-party site or agent you use to book your travel, such as a travel agency, third-party travel app, or other entity. Health information, such vaccination, health, or wellness information required by applicable laws or regulations are necessary to assist you in the event of a medical or other emergency. Also, we collect data related to special requests or needs such as dietary requests, wheelchair use during travel, or other medical needs. At some locations, biometric information may be collected during the security clearance and boarding process. At boarding, U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP) may ask us to collect photographs of facial images for flights leaving the United States. Photographs shared with CBP will be compared to images associated with your passport, other government-issued travel documents, or prior border inspections. If you do not wish to have your biometrics collected for this purpose, you can speak to a customer service agent and request an alternative verification procedure. Additionally, we may collect your fingerprint for activities such as accessing our airport lounge. Participation is completely optional. If you enroll, our system will scan your fingerprint, take certain measurements of it, and convert these measurements into an identifying code. We delete the initial image but retain the identifying code based on the measurements. We can't work backwards from this information to reproduce an image of your fingerprint, but the next time you scan your fingerprint, we'll repeat the measurement process and compare the identifying code to confirm your identity. Data collected through cookies and similar technology. We and third parties use cookies technology that reads and writes data on your browser and other technology to collect data through automated means when you visit our websites or if you have installed our apps. This data is used for marketing, analytics, and other purposes described in this privacy notice. For more details, including the data collected by cookies and similar technologies and how to manage your preferences, visit our cookie policy. Usage data. We automatically log your activity on our websites and apps, including the URL of the website from which you came to our sites, pages you viewed, how long you spent on a page, access times, and other details about your use of actions on our website and app. How we use your personal data. The specific uses of information we collect will depend on factors including the nature of the information, the purpose and context of the collection, and applicable law. Uses include providing our services, including troubleshooting, improving and personalizing those services, processing, evaluating, and responding to your requests, inquiries, and applications, contacting or otherwise communicating with you such as by text message, email, pre-recorded or automated phone calls, live phone calls, mail, push notifications, or messages on third-party platforms. To provide transactional information such as updates about purchased travel. To send you marketing communications, offers, and invitations to events which may be based upon previous interactions with our sites, services, and modeling of your personal information, or to provide customer support and respond to your questions. For any other purpose described in this privacy notice. Administering contests, sweepstakes, and events. Tailoring our products, services, and advertising for you, including anticipating your likely preferences based on information concerning your previous travel with us, previous transactions, or communications with us, any of which we may combine with other information we have about you, and which may be based on our modeling of your personal information. Determining appropriate advertising channels and venues, and to place ads on such channels and venues, including social networking sites. Measuring and managing the effectiveness of our advertising and marketing. Conducting surveys and performing market research and data analytics. Creating aggregated or otherwise de-identified data, which we may use and disclose without restriction. Verifying your identity, protecting against and preventing fraud, unauthorized or illegal activity, claims and other liabilities, and managing risk exposure, for example, monitoring our Wi-Fi networks for purposes such as security, abuse prevention, and network management. Complying with and enforcing applicable legal obligations or requirements, industry standards, and our policies and terms, such as our terms of use and contract of carriage. Maintaining the operational availability and reliability of our IT systems with infrastructure backups and testing, which may use a copy of live data where test data is not practical. Operating, evaluating, and improving our business in other ways, including through billing, accounting, and analysis and research. Biometric information. With your consent, Alaska will only use biometrics information on your day of travel for the purposes you consented to, such as self-bag drop, security clearance, boarding, and Alaska Lounge access. At boarding, U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP) may ask us to collect photographs of facial images for flights leaving the United States. Photographs shared with CBP will be compared to images associated with your passport, other government-issued travel documents, or prior border inspections. If you do not wish to have your biometric information collected for this purpose, you can speak to a customer service agent and request an alternative verification procedure. Self-bag drop processing will also use facial recognition technology to collect and use biometric information for authentication purposes and to generate your bag tag. If you do not wish to have your biometric information collected for this purpose, you can speak to a customer service agent to obtain a bag tag. We may also use your biometric data to allow access to our Alaska lounges. For Alaska Lounge access, you can use a third-party application that stores your biometric information on your mobile device for Alaska Lounge Pass to enter the Alaska lounges. Alaska does not store biometric measurement data. If you do not wish to have your biometric information collected and used for this purpose, please speak with a lounge attendant. Alaska does not store your biometrics nor use biometric information for any other purpose. Biometrics necessary for Alaska Lounge access remains stored on your own device. Self-bag drop and lounge access uses of a biometric information is unrelated to Customs and Border Protection use described above. How we disclose your personal data. How we disclose personal data collected in a particular situation will depend on factors including the nature of the personal data, the purpose and context of the collection, and applicable law. Subject to such factors, we may disclose personal data categories described above for the purposes described above in the How We Use Your Personal Data section and as described below. Affiliates. We disclose personal data within the Alaska Air Group companies. For example, where we share common data systems or where access is needed to provide our services and operate our business. Non-affiliated third parties. We disclose personal data to travel agents, other travel, transportation, and hospitality companies, including those you select to share your information with. And we disclose personal data to mileage plan trademark partners, such as companies with whom you may earn or use miles. For example, when you purchase travel from us that will be provided by another airline with whom we have a code-sharing agreement, we disclose personal data to the airline. As another example, when you choose to reserve or purchase third-party products or services through Alaska Airlines cars, we disclose your personal data to the third parties and their service providers. Financial services and payment processing. When you provide payment data, for example to make a purchase, we will share payment and transactional data with banks and other entities as necessary for payment processing, fraud prevention, credit risk reduction, or other related financial services. Legal, law enforcement, and safety. We may disclose personal data about you if we are required to do so by laws or legal process, 2 to law enforcement authorities under appropriate circumstances, or 3 when we believe disclosure is necessary or appropriate for health and safety of any person, to prevent harm or loss or in connection with an investigation of suspected or actual illegal activity. For example, for flights to, from, within, or over the U.S., the TSA Secure Flight Program requires Alaska to collect and provide the TSA with each passenger's name, birth date, gender, and, if available, redress number and known traveler number. Additionally, in certain circumstances, Alaska may be required to disclose traveler biometric information to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP) as part of the security clearance and boarding process. For more information on CBP's program, please visit their website. Service providers. We disclose personal data with companies that process personal data described in this policy on our behalf. Examples include data hosting platforms, data backup companies, email service providers, and social media aggregators. Additionally, when using our Alaska self-bag drop service at participating airports, the service verifies the traveler checking the bag by comparing your facial measurements to the image on your government-issued identifications. For this service, we use a third-party service provider to generate and store information on your personal mobile device. Neither Alaska nor the third-party service provider permanently store biometric data on their systems. Measurement, advertising, and marketing providers. We disclose personal data with joint marketing partners, such as third-party analytics and advertising companies, which also collect personal data through our website and apps, including identifiers and device information such as cookie IDs, device IDs, and IP address, geolocation data, usage data, and inferences based on and associated with that data, as described in the cookies section of this privacy notice. These third-party vendors may combine this data across multiple sites to improve analytics for their own purpose and others. For example, we use Google Analytics on our website to help us understand how users interact with our website. You can learn how Google collects and uses information on their website. Corporate transactions. We may transfer personal data in connection with a corporate transaction, business sale, merger, consolidation, divestiture, change in control, transfer of substantial assets, bankruptcy, liquidation, or reorganization, or as part of pre-transaction review in relation to these transactions. Whether the recipient of data in these cases will handle the data pursuant to this privacy notice depends on applicable law and other factors. Third-party integrations. We may allow you to connect your Alaska account with a third-party system or to authorize a particular third-party website, application, or service to access certain data we hold about you. For example, If you log in through an authorized third-party app that allows you to view your mileage plan trademark account, we may disclose personal data to the operator of the app. Such operators' use of the information may be subject to their own privacy policies. Some third parties embedded content, pixels, or plugins on sites and in our emails, such as third-party analytics and ad tech companies, Facebook-like buttons on our websites or apps, may allow their operators to use cookie IDs, device IDs, IP address, and other technology to learn that you have visited or interacted with us and how. They may use this information to create inferences about you, and they may combine this information with other, identifiable information they have collected about your visits to other websites or online services. These third parties may process this information and other information they directly collect through their content, pixels, and plugins pursuant to their own privacy policies. De-identified data. We may disclose de-identified data in accordance with applicable law. International transfers of personal data. Alaska is based in the United States and has locations in other countries. The recipients of the personal data disclosures described in the How We Disclose Your Personal Data section above may be located in the United States or elsewhere in the world. Privacy laws in these countries may not provide protections equivalent to those of your country of residence, and your government may or may not deem such protections adequate. Where required by law or regulation, we use legal mechanisms, including contracts, to help ensure your rights and protections. Our legal basis for handling your personal data. The laws in some jurisdictions require companies to tell you about the legal ground they rely on to use or disclose your personal data. To the extent those laws apply, our legal grounds are as follows. To honor our contractual commitments to you, much of our processing of personal data is to meet our contractual obligations to our customers or to take steps at customers' request in anticipation of entering into a contract with them. For example, we handle personal data on this basis for some of our reservation, ticketing, and boarding processes, and for some aspects of our management of the mileage plan trademark program. Consent. Were required by applicable law, and in some other cases, we handle personal data on the basis of your implied or express consent. Legitimate interests. In many cases, we handle personal data on the ground that it furthers our legitimate interests in commercial activities such as the following in ways that are not overridden by the interests or fundamental rights and freedoms of the affected individuals. All providing a safe and enjoyable travel experience. All customer service. All marketing. All protecting our customers, personnel, and property. All analyzing and improving our business. All processing job applications. All managing legal issues. We may also process personal data for the legitimate interests of our business partners, such as to coordinate loyalty programs, facilitate code-sharing relationships with other airlines, or assist with marketing. Legal compliance. We need to use and disclose personal data in certain ways to comply with our legal obligations, such as our obligation to share data with the TSA through the Secure Flight program described above. To protect the vital interests of the individual or others, for example, we may collect or disclose personal data to help resolve an urgent medical situation. How long we keep personal data. We retain personal data for as long as necessary to provide the services and fulfill the transactions you have requested, comply with our legal obligations, resolve disputes, enforce our agreements, and other legitimate and lawful business purposes. Because these needs can vary for different data types in the context of different services, actual retention periods can vary significantly based on criteria such as user expectations or consent, the sensitivity of the data, the availability of automated controls that enable users to delete data, and our legal or contractual obligations. To dispose of personal data, we may anonymize it, delete it, or take other appropriate steps. Data may persist in copies made for backup and business continuity purposes for additional time. Data security practices. Alaska takes information security seriously. We leverage appropriate industry frameworks, guidance, and practices to guide our implementation efforts through reasonable technical, physical, and administrative controls that help safeguard our systems and the customer data we collect and maintain. In the event of a data breach, Alaska adheres to incident reporting and data breach notification requirements to appropriate state, federal, and/or international authorities and/or data subjects, as required by applicable laws and in compliance with time frames established and remedies set forth by such laws. We also recommend that our customers take steps to protect the security of their own information, for example by not reusing their passwords across multiple websites or using less secure passwords, and by not providing account information such as usernames and passwords over the phone or by email. Children's privacy. Due to the nature of our business, we may collect personal data about children from parents or legal guardians when it is required to comply with the law, including federal aviation or security regulations, or as otherwise required to provide transportation and other requested services. We may retain personal information when required to provide transportation and related services to a child. Our websites and apps are not directed to individuals under 16 years old. As appropriate under applicable law, parents or legal guardians with questions or requests regarding their children's personal data may contact us as described below. Your rights and choices. You can view, update certain information and make certain privacy choices by logging into the relevant portions of Alaska or third-party websites and apps. For example, if you have an online account at alaskair.com, you can log in and visit the profile and settings of your account. To view and manage notifications and preferences relating to our apps, visit the settings menu of both the app and of your operating system. For example, you can follow those steps to disable or adjust precise geolocation, biometrics such as Apple Touch ID trademark in our iOS app or other features in our mobile apps. Additional options are available. You can unsubscribe from certain types of emails by clicking the unsubscribe link they contain. You can unsubscribe from text messages by replying stop as indicated within the message. You can opt out by contacting customer care. You can cancel your participation in the fingerprint identity verification service at an enrollment station or by contacting us as described below. You can update your preferences or opt out from certain cookie-related processing by following the instructions in our cookie policy below. Under U.S. law, we must deny boarding or take other steps when a ticket holder on a flight to, from, within, or over the United States appears in certain databases maintained by the U.S. government. For inquiries or to resolve problems relating to your possible inclusion in such a database, you may contact the Department of Homeland Security Traveler Redress Inquiry Program DHS TRIP. This indicates a link to an external site that may not follow the same accessibility or privacy policies as Alaska Airlines. By selecting a partner link, you agree to share your data with these sites. You may also contact us for confirmation that the boarding denial or other step is not the result of an error in our records or processes. You can request to opt out of receiving pre-screened offers of credit for mileage plan trademark branded cards from Bank of America by calling 1-888-341-5000 or from the Toronto-Dominion Bank MBNA for Canadian residents by calling 1-866 845-0980. In addition, individuals in certain jurisdictions have legal rights to obtain confirmation of whether we hold personal data about them, to access personal data we hold about them, including, in some cases, in portable form, and to obtain its correction, update, amendment, or deletion in appropriate circumstances. They may also object to our uses or disclosures of personal data, request a restriction on its processing, or withdraw any consent, though such actions typically will not have retroactive effect. They also will not affect our ability to continue processing data in lawful ways. For example, if you opt out of the use of your telephone number for direct marketing, we might still decide to contact you by phone regarding an urgent travel situation. To exercise any of the above rights or choices or any other rights under applicable law, please contact us as described at the end of this privacy notice. The rights and options described above are subject to limitations and exceptions under applicable law. In addition to those rights, you have the right to lodge a complaint with the relevant supervisory authority. However, we encourage you to contact us first, and we will do our very best to resolve your concern. Updates to our privacy notice. We may change this privacy notice to reflect changes in the law, our data handling practices, or the features of our services, websites, and apps. The new version will be posted at alaskaair.com. We will indicate at the top of the notice when it was updated. Where required by applicable law, we will apply changes only with your consent. Cookie policy. On our websites and apps, we and third parties may collect certain information by automated means such as cookies, web beacons, JavaScript, and mobile device functionality. The information we collect includes unique browser identifiers, IP address, browser and operating system information, device identifiers such as the Apple IDFA or Android Advertising ID, geolocation, other device information, internet connection information, as well as details about individuals' interactions with websites and apps. This information is used to store your preferences and settings, enable you to sign in, analyze how our websites and apps perform, track your interaction with a site or app, develop inferences, deliver and tailor interest-based advertising, combat fraud, and fulfill other legitimate purposes. You may be able to set your web browser to refuse certain types of cookies or to alert you when certain types of cookies are being sent. However, if you block or otherwise reject our cookies, local storage, JavaScript, or other technologies, certain websites, including our own websites and features, may not function properly. Blocking or rejecting cookies will also remove cookies that reflect your advertising and analytics opt-out choices. Please see our cookie-related Privacy Preference Center for more information. What controls are available? Privacy Preference Center. You can update your cookie-related preferences within our Privacy Preference Center. Advertising controls. Our advertising partners may participate in associations that provide simple ways to opt out of ad targeting, which you can access at United States, NAI and DAA. Canada, Digital Advertising Alliance of Canada. Europe, European Digital Advertising Alliance. These choices are specific to the browser you are using. If you access our services from other devices or browsers, take these actions from those systems to ensure your choices apply to the data collected when you use those systems. Browser cookie controls. Most web browsers are set to accept cookies by default. If you prefer, you can go to your browser settings to learn how to delete or reject cookies. If you choose to delete or reject cookies, this could affect certain features or services of our website. If you choose to delete cookies, settings and preferences controlled by those cookies, including advertising preferences, may be deleted and may need to be recreated. Mobile advertising ID controls. iOS and Android operating systems provide options to limit tracking and or reset the advertising IDs. Email web beacons. Most email clients have settings which allow you to prevent the automatic downloading of images, including web beacons, which prevents the automatic connection to the web servers that host those images. Do not track. Some browsers have incorporated do not track DNT features that can send a signal to the websites you visit indicating you do not wish to be tracked. Because there is not a common understanding of how to interpret the DNT signal, our websites do not currently respond to browser DNT signals. Instead, you can use the range of other tools to control data collection and use, including the cookie controls and advertising controls described above. How to contact us. Any request you make to the Data Privacy Office must be in writing and include your name and address and any other information that may identify you, such as the booking reference example, confirmation number or record locator number, mileage plan trademark account number if applicable, the dates on which the travel took place, and any other relevant information that will assist us to identify you. For certain requests, you must also provide a photocopy of your passport or driver's license so we can verify your identity.